So like I said, we're going to now use the full MVC to make a post request. So I'm going to create a model which I'm going to call what do I call it now? Let me call it user data.cs, right? So let's get us first name, last name, location, phone number. Oh, sorry. Phone number. What else? Let's just put email finally. Yeah. All right, great. So I created this model. I'll create a controller for it. Let's say, maybe I'll say user controller. Then I'm gonna come in here and then say user controller, right? So now, since we don't have a database, I'm just going to use the same way we did in our app, in our banking app, public static list of user data all users because new list of user data. So just bring in the using statement. So how I am doing this, like bringing in the user statement is I'll put my cursor on the error, hold down control and press period. That just gives me the clue. So I'll pick the one that I know is the right one, right? I need the using statement, so I'll pick this first one and then another one. I'll pick this first one. Let me, supposed to be in here. Let's see. Okay, great. So that's our database, right? So I'm going to create a view called a folder called user and a view called index dots. No, not open. And a view called, what am I doing? Oh shoot, delete that. Folder called user and a view called index.cshtml. Okay, great. So we have this. So what do we want? In our user controller, this index shows the page. So on this page, what do we want? I want a table that provides those details and also a method that we can use to add, right? So let me just say user profiles. Okay. So I just do H2 all users. Then remove this. Then a anchor tag, say add user. So I'll leave that like that for now. What I need now is I'll come to this user. I need 5 table rows. So I'll come inside here, just 5. I need 5. So I'm going to just do this and remove 1. Do the same thing here. No, not ch. So then remove 1. Okay, so this is a table that we want to use to present our data, right? Call this, I'll just give it a class. And then I would, so what are the data? What are the data? First name, last name, location, phone number, email. So I think I'll just put first name and last name together. So I'll remove 1. Remove 1. First name, last name, location, phone number, email. Okay. All right. So now what I need is, okay, I need to return a list of user data to the view. So this is us using our model and then our controllers and our view. So this is the view. The only way I can use the model is I have to inject it into the view by calling model and what model. So in this case, the model I need is list of user data. I don't just need user data, but I need list of user data. Now I can now use this model in my page. I'll say for each bar item in model so for each item inside of this model, I want to create a table row. I want to create a table row. So if there's one item in this model, it's going to create one table row. If there's more than one item, it's going to create that table row as many times as the items inside of it. So that means during each iteration, it's going to create this table row. Now, what do I want to do? I want to access the data inside of that iteration. And that I can do by saying at item dot first name. But since I want the first name and the last name, so I'll create a space and do at item dot last name. Then for location, I'll do at item dot location. Then for phone, I'll do at item dot phone. It's supposed to be phone number anyways. Then at item dot email. All right, so I'll change this to phone number and we are good to go on that front. Great. But now if I run this, nothing would show because there's nothing in the database, which in this case is our list, right? So what I need is I need to create another action. I'm going to call this action add. No, let me just leave it as index. I would have called it add user, but let me just leave it as index. But I have to decorate it with HTTP post so that I know that, okay, it's a post request. Then I have to bring in the user data model, right? In the previous example, we used string. But in this case, we are sending user data, not string, not integer, nothing, but this class that we created, that's what we are sending. Now, as usual, I need to do a check first. There's something called model states in ASP.NET, right? What that stuff does is it checks if the state of the model that you're sending is valid, right? So that's what I'm doing now. If model states dot is valid, so I'm checking if the state of this model is valid. Now, how does it work? Inside of this user data, I can add attributes to it that says, okay, this first name must come. So I can say required. Required is coming from a class called using system.component model.data annotations. All of this, most of these things, they've been done for us. We just need to use them. I could say that, okay, first name is required, last name is required, location is required, phone number is required, email is required, right? Then I could also go as far as saying that if you do not send them, I need to put an error message that says first name is required. I can do the same thing for last name. Say last name is required. I can do the same thing for that's not email, that's location. I just put that, but change that to location. I can do the same thing for phone number. Let's say phone number is required. Then finally do the same thing for email, right? Now for email, I can go as much as possible that says, as much as possible as decorate it with, I think email address. Yeah, so this will check if it's an email and whatever. And I could also do a message, error message that says, please enter a valid email address. So I can add, there are different stuff that you can add, attributes that you can add. I could say the length of this, let me see. Yeah, length should be, how do this do this? Yeah, let me see. Length should be 24, right? Forgetting how to use this length attribute, but then there are different attributes that you can add to make sure that this model validates. And then once it comes inside there, this model state first of all checks if it passes all of these validations here before passing. So now I could say if model state is valid, then do whatever is inside here. But if it's not valid, return view. But return view with a view bag of errors that says model state is not valid. I could do that, but then I could also remove this. And then there's another method I can use, which I'll show you shortly. But inside of here, I'll just say return view so that everything is working fine. Now, so, okay, because of the confusion that I just realized, I'm going to switch this to add user page, right? I don't want to make it very complex because if I use index, then I have to start doing some filtering in here to filter between the form and this thing, and I don't want to make it more complex. So I'll just create a new page for it, and that page will be called add user, the CSHTML, right? Now, for this to work, I have to also create a view for it, right? Remember what we talked about, the methods, right? So this guy now is decorated with HTTP GET because I didn't decorate it. but this one is decorated with HTTP post. So if I go to the page, what I would be seeing is just the form that will be on that page. But then if I submit the form, it's going to enter this place. But we'll come back to this guy. So let me create that user, add user page. Okay. For the add user page, I need the model too, but I don't need the list model. I need just user data, right? Because if you look at the controller, it's expecting just user data, right? I think I didn't rename this. Let me rename this HTML. Okay, great. Now inside of here, I need add user. Okay. Then just put a couple of syntax here. Then a form should be a form, a post form. The controller should be there. And the controller should be what? User. The action should be add user. Then there should be a button to submit. Then class button from so I just call this add, right? So then 800 MT2. Okay, now so we need 5 inputs. So I'm going to say inputs. Yep. What am I doing? Okay. The type should be text. The class, the form control placeholder should be first name. So I just create 5 of this. Okay, let me take 2. Yes. Okay, so last name, location, phone number. Yeah. All right, so those are the inputs. Let's just check it to see if it's going to show. Before we check, to get to this page, I need this add user anchor tag to have ASP-controller should be user, ASP-action should be add user. Right, so that means if I click on this, it takes me to the get part, which is this add user, right? Then let me also add in the shared layout. I'm going to call this users. So this will be index, and this will be user. All right, so that should work. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. If I am going too fast, please let me know. But let's check this out. We've not done anything about the storing. I just want to check in the UI is working fine. So I'm going to reload this. Oh, gosh. All right, so if I go to the users page, could not be found. That's weird. Let's see, user index view. That's weird. Why can't it be found? This is user, except if I didn't spell, I spelled it correctly. This is user, and this is user control. Okay, yeah, this is supposed to be a controller. I was wondering what's happening. Okay, so now there's an error. User controller.cs already contains a definition for user controller. Where is it? Give me a second to rebuild this, but not build. Okay, well, there is a mistake, I think. I'm sure of that. So let's just run this. Okay, and I can reload this. Object reference no sets. Okay, I think there's an issue somewhere here. Let me start this. Let me reload the Windows first. So that error is. Okay, now there's an issue here. It's saying that there's no data coming from the stuff, right? So I need to work on that. I'll do if model dot count, because it's a list, or let me just do if model is not null. Let's see if this would work. So that's the model that is coming from the controller. I'm checking if it's not null before I look through it, because the error is saying that the object's reference is not set to instance of an object, and it's pointing out this for it. So it's like saying that it's trying to look through an object that is not there because we don't have anything in the database yet. So let me also check the controller, and I'm going to return all user here, and here I'm going to do redirects to action. I'm going to redirect to add user action. So that should work. Let's run this again. Okay. Let's test it out. All right, great. So we have our table, we have our users, we have our add user and all of that. So if I click on this, it takes us to the form, and then it's giving us an error again. The model item passed into the virtual type system, but this view because okay. Yeah, so this is wrong actually. This is supposed to be this rather. That's the issue. I'm just going to tweak something here. Give me a second to tweak something here before testing it out again. So instead of using, let's do the class BTN primary. So let's test it out again. Now I need to see the form. So what happened just now is, let me explain that. What happened just now is I was passing these all users into this view, right? But then the add user is only expecting just a user, not a list. And that's why it threw the error. If you check here, it says the model item passed into the view data dictionary is of type system collections generic list of our user data. But this view data dictionary instance requires a model item of just the user data, right? So that's why the error is there. So basically, I was not even supposed to send anything into it. Where is it? I was not supposed to send anything into it. This is where I was supposed to send it into the index, right? So let's test it out. Test it out now. I'll go back to the user. Reload this. If I click on add user, the form is here, right? As you can see. If I click this, nothing happens, right? Now, let me also point out that I can do something. Yeah, so I was saying something earlier on that I could say view back.error and I put my error and pass it to the view. But then with MVC, there's also this summary called ASP-validation summary. And I could say I want all validation summary. I think that's what it's called. Should be text danger. So this ASP validation summary would get all the validation errors, and if there's any validation error, it's going to put it inside this div, right? And return it to the view. So let's test that out. And this is already, it's called a tag helper. It's already created by Microsoft. All you need to do is just use it, and it's going to get all of these errors. If you check our user data, all of these errors, if they are failing, it's going to show it on the view. So let's test it and send. Wait. Where's the user controller view? Oh, almost time again. If model state is, if it's not valid, return redirects to action. This is actually supposed to be the other way around. If model stateless is valid. Okay, yeah, the reason why that is happening is I've not mapped it. Oh, that's true. I haven't mapped it. I need to map these classes. Give me a quick second. No. Give me a second. Let me get this out. Let me figure this out quickly. Yeah. Okay, type email ASP4. Oh yes, so this is the attribute I need to map it, ASP4. Okay, great. So I'm just going to do this. Email should be type of email, then ASP4 should be for email. Phone should be type of tel. ASP4 should be phone number. ASP4 should be location. ASP4 should be last name, then ASP4 should be first name. So if you remember in our last form, we used name and then we were using string to catch it, right? Let me show you this calculate form. We're using name amount, name months. Then in the controller, we're using string to catch it, right? But yeah, since we're using a model, in the form, we'll say ASP4. So that's this input is for the first name inside this model. This other input is for the last name inside this model. This other input is for the location inside this model. And like that, like that, like that until the end. Then, now let's test it out again. I haven't added it to the database yet. That's the list. I just want to test the validation first. I want to test the validation first before. Great. So you see all of those validations we added. First name is required, last name is required, location is required, phone number is required, email is required, right? So if I put everything now except location and I send, it still won't go through because location is still required. If I put location Lagos and remove this, it's going to switch to last name is required. And that's how the validations work because I already added all of those validations here and all of that. Let me even try something, the email. Let me just put just this without ads, whatever. So, oh, already front end, whatever, is telling us that this has to be an email. But let's say that this person who is using this form knows how to manipulate the front end. So I'm going to manipulate the front end here and just switch this to a text and send. Great. So sometimes, you see what I just did now? Some people can even try to mess with your website like that, right? They see that, oh, this thing is an email, so I can't send it because of front-end validation. And then they just come to your code here, change it from email to text, and then submit. So if there's no back-end validation, that your front-end validation would have failed in such a scenario, right? Let me show you something else. I can switch from password to text, right? So some people do stuff like that. Like if you save your password on your system and you feel like, oh, because it's hidden, somebody will not be able to see it. Somebody who knows what they are doing will be able to see it. Let me show you an example. Let me show you an example. Let me go to this website, github.com. I'm going to log out from the website. I try to sign in, this password now, GitHub did not put anything about show the password, show the password. So I might feel like, oh, this password is secure, right? But I wouldn't want to show you guys my password. So, okay, what I'll do is I'll just put something else, right? Okay, in this case, okay, they can put, there's this icon that shows this, but I think this icon is from Edge, right? But someone who, let's say a website that does not have this stuff, someone who knows what they're doing can just go to the code of your website and then switch it. If I just come here and switch this from password to text, everything is just wide open for the taking, right? So then if there's a validation, a front-end validation for this thing, right? I've passed that front-end validation. All I need to do is just click submit and then it works. But then that's why there is a need to always do your back-end validations. All right, moving on now. Let's say we've done all of those validations. Now everything is passing, but I want to now store it in the stuff. So all I need to do is I'll go into the add user or user controller. And inside of here, I want to do all users.add. And then I want to pass in user into it, right? But that's just what I need to do. I need to store it inside here. Then it's going to redirect to this action and then pass all users into it, and then I'll see it in my screen. Let's quickly test it before the time gets exhausted. All right, so let's test this out. I'm going to reload the screen, or close this. All right, so now let me put my email here and add. What just happened? Let me go to user. Okay, so it's added, right? So I can add another user. Location, Lagos, phone number, 090, email, really@outlook.com and add. Then if I go to users, it's there. So as you can see, I am updating the table using the model. And then I'm also using the model to pass the data to the users page, right? So basically that's how the model view and then the